Admiral Lisa Kane stood in the observation deck of what the galaxy believed was Earth's primary space station. The metal walls around her looked ordinary, and the equipment seemed basic compared to what other species used. She watched through the large window as 3 alien ships approached slowly. These ships were beautiful and huge. The largest one belonged to the ethereal Dominion and looked like it was made of crystal and silver. The second ship came from the crystalline hegemony and had a dark surface that seemed to move like liquid metal. The third ship was the strangest because it seemed to be made of pure energy that shifted between different colors. Lisa had been waiting for this moment for over 10 years. Earth had been watching the galaxy quietly while staying hidden from all the alien races. Human technology was far more advanced than anyone knew. The space station around her was not really a station at all, but something much more impressive. Today, the aliens would learn that humans were not the primitive species they expected to find. The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss as the alien shuttles landed inside. Lisa walked down to meet their guests with Dr. Maya Singh beside her. Maya was Earth's best scientist when it came to studying alien life forms. She had been studying these species for years, using secret observation networks that the aliens never discovered. The first alien to step out was tall and graceful, with pointed ears and skin that seemed to glow softly. This was High Counselor Zarathel from the Ethereal Dominion. Her people looked like the elves from old Earth stories, but they were real and very advanced. She wore robes that changed color as she moved, and her eyes were bright purple. Behind her came 3 more of her kind carrying devices that looked like they were scanning everything around them. The second group was led by Vexara from the crystalline hegemony. She was over 7 feet tall with 4 arms and skin that looked like black glass. Her species had built their civilization using biotechnology and crystal growing techniques. She moved with the confidence of a warrior, but her large eyes showed intelligence. Her people had conquered dozens of worlds through a combination of superior technology and military skill. The third visitor was the most unusual. Nix Andra from the Void Collective appeared as a figure made of swirling energy that sometimes looked solid and sometimes looked like colored smoke. Her people were beings of pure energy who rarely spoke with physical species. The fact that she had come in person showed how important they thought this meeting was. Lisa walked forward and smiled in a friendly way. She had practiced this moment many times. The aliens expected to meet a primitive leader who would be amazed by their advanced technology and grateful for their protection. Instead, they found a calm woman who acted like meeting aliens was something she did every day. Zarathel spoke first using a translation device that made her voice sound musical. She said that the Galactic Council had decided to offer humanity membership as a junior species. This meant that Earth would receive protection and technology sharing in exchange for following Council rules and paying tribute. She explained that humans would need to give up any weapons and let alien advisors help run their government. Maya stepped forward and spoke in perfect ethereal language without using any translation device. She thanked the visitors for coming and said that humanity appreciated their offer. But she also asked some questions that made the aliens look surprised. She asked about recent conflicts in the Outer Rim territories and mentioned specific battles that should have been secret. She knew about political problems between different council species that were not supposed to be public knowledge. Vexara moved closer to Maya and studied her with interest. The large alien had expected to meet a primitive scientist who would be excited to learn basic concepts. Instead, she found someone who understood advanced biotechnology and even suggested improvements to crystalline growing techniques. Maya spoke about genetic modification methods that Vexara had never heard of before. While the aliens were talking with Maya, Lyria Moonwhisper had been quietly exploring the station. She was an elven scout with natural magical abilities that let her sense hidden things. Most species could not detect her special talents, but something was blocking her powers. Every time she tried to scan deeper into the station, she hit barriers that should not exist. The technology around her felt much more advanced than it looked. Nixandra floated closer to Lisa and communicated through direct energy transfer instead of speaking. She was curious about human consciousness and wanted to understand how physical beings develop such complex thoughts. But when she tried to read Lisa's mind, she found defenses that surprised her. Humans had somehow learned to protect themselves. against mental intrusion, even though no one had taught them these techniques. Lisa watched the aliens carefully as they began to realize that something was not right. Their sensors were giving them confusing information. The station appeared simple, but their equipment detected energy signatures that made no sense. The humans they were meeting seemed to know things that should have been impossible for their species to learn. The meeting continued for another hour, with both sides being polite but cautious. The aliens began to ask more direct questions about human technology and space travel capabilities. Lisa gave answers that seemed honest, but revealed much more than she appeared to be saying. Every response showed knowledge that humans should not possess. Finally, Zarathel asked the question that Lisa had been waiting for. The Elven leader wanted to know how long humans had been traveling in space and whether they had encountered other species before. Lisa smiled and said that humanity had been exploring for quite some time. She touched a control panel on the wall and said that perhaps it was time for a proper demonstration of human capabilities. Suddenly, warning lights began flashing throughout the station, and a deep humming sound filled the air. The floor beneath them started to vibrate and the walls began to move. The aliens looked around in confusion as the simple space station began to transform into something completely different. The walls around them folded outward like giant metal flowers blooming in space. What had appeared to be a simple station was transforming into something massive and powerful. Zarathel grabbed onto a nearby railing as the floor shifted beneath her feet. The station was not a station at all, but a ship that had been disguised to look small and harmless. Vexara watched in amazement as armor plating slid into place along the hull. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments and defensive shields, powered up with a bright blue glow. The ship kept growing larger as more sections unfolded from spaces that should not have existed. Her four arms moved quickly over her scanning equipment, but the numbers made no sense. The ship was becoming bigger than anything in the combined galactic fleets. Admiral Lisa Kane stood calmly in the center of the observation deck as if giant spaceships transformed around her every day. She spoke into a communication device and said that Captain Amy Brooks was cleared for launch. The aliens looked through the massive windows that had appeared during the transformation and saw something that made them step backwards in shock. Hundreds of small fighter craft were launching from the ship in perfect formation. These were not the clumsy vessels that new species usually built when they first reached space. These fighters moved with grace and speed that suggested technology far beyond anything the Galactic Council had seen before. They performed complex maneuvers that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. Amy Brooks led the demonstration flight in her personal fighter. She had been flying since she was 16 years old and had trained for this moment her entire life. Her ship danced through space like it was alive while the alien observers watched through telescopes and sensors. She performed rolls and turns that should have crushed any living pilot, but the human technology protected her from the massive forces involved. The other fighters followed Amy in patterns that showed incredible coordination. They moved as if they shared one mind while maintaining perfect spacing between ships. The formation changed from a simple line to complex three-dimensional shapes that demonstrated both pilot skill and advanced communication systems. Each fighter was equipped with weapons and shields that registered as military grade on alien sensors. Dr. Maya Singh noticed that Vexara was staring at the technical readouts with all four of her eyes wide open. The large alien was trying to understand how human ships could move so quickly and turn so sharply without falling apart. Maya explained that humans had developed new materials and engine designs by studying physics in ways that other species had not tried before. Nixandra floated closer to the window and extended energy tendrils toward the glass. She was trying to scan the fighters with her natural abilities, but found that each ship was protected by some kind of field that blocked her probes. This was supposed to be impossible because energy beings like her could normally see through any physical barrier. The humans had somehow learned to hide from senses that they should not even know existed. Lisa walked over to a large display screen that showed the full size of their ship. The USS Enterprise was now revealed as a supercarrier longer than most space stations and wider than many asteroids. Its hull was covered with launch bays for fighters and shuttles. Massive weapon turrets could be seen along the sides, and defensive systems hummed with barely contained power. the ship carried more firepower than some entire planetary defense networks. Lyria Moonwhisper tried again to use her magical senses to explore the ship around them. This time she felt something that made her step backwards in surprise. The ship was not just big, but it was also smart. There was some kind of artificial intelligence running through every system that was more advanced than anything her people had created. The ship could think and make decisions faster than any living crew could manage. Zarathel found herself standing next to Lisa at the main display. The elven leader had commanded fleets for over 200 years, but had never seen anything like the Enterprise. She asked how long humans had possessed such technology and whether Earth had built other ships like this one. Lisa smiled and said that humanity had been working on space travel longer than most people realized. She did not say exactly how long, but her answer suggested decades of secret development. The fighter demonstration continued for another 30 minutes, with Amy Brooks showing off capabilities that impressed even the military experts among the alien delegation. The fighters could accelerate faster than most species could survive, and their weapons could punch through armor that was supposed to be invulnerable. When the display finally ended, the fighters returned to their launch bays with the same perfect coordination they had shown throughout the flight. Commander Kate Murphy appeared on the observation deck, carrying data tablets filled with information about human space exploration. She was the head of diplomatic relations and had been preparing for this meeting longer than anyone else on the crew. Kate began explaining that Earth had been quietly observing galactic civilization while developing their own technology and exploring nearby star systems. The aliens learned that humans had established hidden outposts in dozens of systems around Earth. These bases had been watching and listening to galactic communications for years while remaining completely undetected. Human scientists had studied alien technology from a distance and had often found ways to improve upon designs that other species considered perfect. Vexara asked direct questions about human military capabilities and whether Earth considered itself ready for war. Kate explained that humanity preferred peace, but had prepared for the possibility that not all alien species would be friendly. The Enterprise and its fighter wings were designed to protect Earth and human colonies from any threat that might arise. Maya took the alien scientists to a medical bay that demonstrated human healing technology. The equipment there could repair injuries that would be permanent for most species and could even regrow lost limbs given enough time. She showed them genetic modification techniques that surpassed anything the crystalline hegemony had developed, despite their biological expertise. The tour continued through various sections of the ship, with each area revealing new surprises. The engines used principles that alien physics said should not work. The computer systems processed information faster than quantum networks. The life support systems could sustain millions of people for years without resupply. Every technology seemed to be at least 50 years ahead of galactic standards. Nixandra requested a private meeting with Lisa to discuss what the Void Collective had really expected to find at Earth. Her people had detected unusual energy signatures from human space but had assumed they were natural phenomena. Learning that humans could hide entire fleets from energy beings' senses was information that would shock her entire species. As the day ended, the alien delegation realized that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. Earth was not a primitive world that needed protection and guidance. Instead, they had discovered a hidden civilization that might be more advanced than any member of the Galactic Council. The question now was what this meant for the future of galactic politics and whether the existing power structures could adapt to accommodate such a revelation. 3 days had passed since the Enterprise revealed itself to the alien delegation. The massive supercarrier now floated openly in space with its full size visible to anyone who cared to look. The alien ships remained docked while their crews tried to understand everything they had learned about human capabilities. Lyria Moonwhisper found herself spending most of her time with Captain Amy Brooks in the flight simulation chambers. The Elven Scout had always been curious about different ways of thinking and fighting. Amy was teaching her how human pilots approached three-dimensional combat in space. Lyria discovered that human tactics were completely different from anything her people used. Elven warriors relied on individual skill and magical abilities to win battles. Each fighter acted alone while using their natural powers to overcome enemies. But human pilots worked together like parts of a single organism. Amy showed Lyria how 20 human fighters could coordinate their movements to defeat a force 3 times their size through superior teamwork and communication. The simulation chamber created realistic battle scenarios where Lyria could practice human flying techniques. At first, she struggled because elven magic did not work the same way in space as it did on planetary surfaces, but Amy helped her understand how to use technology to enhance her natural abilities instead of replacing them. Soon, Lyria was combining elven reflexes with human tactical thinking in ways that surprised both of them. Admiral Lisa Kane spent long hours talking with High Counselor Zarathel about leadership and responsibility. The elven leader had ruled her people for over 3 centuries, but had never met someone who commanded such loyalty from their crew. Every human on the Enterprise seemed willing to follow Lisa anywhere without question or fear. Zarathel explained that most galactic species led through tradition and inherited authority. Leaders were born into their positions or appointed by councils based on political connections. But Lisa had earned her rank through merit and had kept it by proving herself worthy of trust. Her crew respected her because she made good decisions and cared about their welfare. The 2 leaders discussed the challenges of protecting entire civilizations from threats that could destroy worlds. Zarathel had always believed that the strongest species should guide and protect the weaker ones. But Lisa suggested that every species had valuable knowledge and abilities that could benefit everyone if they were allowed to contribute as equals rather than subjects. Dr. Maya Singh worked closely with scientists from all 3 alien delegations in her research laboratories. She had spent years studying alien biology through secret observations, but this was her first chance to work directly with living specimens. The aliens were amazed by her knowledge of their physiology and genetic structures. Vexara brought samples of crystalline biotechnology for Maya to examine. Her people grew their technology instead of building it using techniques that combined chemistry and biology in complex ways. Maya studied the samples and suggested modifications that could make the growing process faster and more efficient. She also shared human genetic modification techniques that could enhance crystalline natural abilities. The energy being Nyxandra presented the most interesting challenge for Maya's research. Her species existed as pure consciousness without physical bodies, but they could manipulate matter and energy through focused thought. Maya developed new scanning techniques that could study energy patterns without interfering with the being's natural state. In return, Nyxandra shared insights about consciousness and intelligence that helped Maya understand how thoughts could influence physical reality. Commander Kate Murphy organized cultural exchange sessions where humans and aliens shared stories and traditions from their home worlds. She discovered that despite their different origins, all the species had similar values when it came to protecting their families and preserving their way of life. The exchanges helped break down barriers between species that had existed for thousands of years. The aliens learned that human music and art often focused on themes of exploration and discovery. Humans seemed to be naturally curious about new places and ideas in ways that made them excellent explorers and researchers. The alien cultures tended to be more focused on preserving ancient traditions and maintaining stability across generations. But the peaceful cultural exchanges were interrupted when long-range sensors detected incoming ships at the edge of the solar system. The new arrivals were not friendly visitors, but raiders from the savage worlds. These were aggressive species that attacked peaceful settlements to steal resources and capture slaves for their markets. The raider fleet consisted of over 40 ships of various sizes, armed with weapons designed to disable rather than destroy their targets. They wanted to capture as many aliens as possible, along with any valuable technology they could find. The raiders had heard rumors about alien ships visiting Earth and had come to investigate what they assumed would be easy prey. Zarathel immediately contacted her ship to prepare for departure. The ethereal Dominion vessel was fast and well-armed, but could not fight an entire raider fleet alone. She suggested that all the alien ships should flee while calling for reinforcements from the Galactic Council. Help might arrive in time to save Earth from the raiders. Vexara had a different response to the threat. Her people were warriors who never ran from a fight, but even she could see that the raider fleet was too large for the few ships present to handle. She began calculating how long they could hold out against superior numbers, while hoping that human defenses might slow down the attackers. But Admiral Lisa Kane had no intention of running or hiding from the raiders. She activated ship-wide communications and announced that the Enterprise would move to intercept the hostile fleet. All civilian personnel should report to protected areas while the crew prepared for combat operations. The massive supercarrier began turning toward the approaching enemy. Amy Brooks received orders to launch all fighter squadrons for a full-scale defensive operation. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but had never faced real combat against experienced raiders. The enemy pilots were skilled and ruthless warriors who had survived dozens of battles against various species across the galaxy. Lyria Moonwhisper asked permission to join the human fighter pilots in their defense of the ship. Her elven abilities might prove useful in space combat, even though she had never fought in such an environment before. Amy agreed to let her fly as her wingman using a modified fighter equipped with systems designed to work with elven magical talents. Vexara requested permission to coordinate with human tactical officers to share crystalline military knowledge about raider fighting techniques. Her people had fought these enemies before and knew their preferred strategies and weaknesses. The information might help human forces prepare for what was coming. As the enemy fleet moved closer to Earth, the Enterprise powered up its weapon systems and deployed its fighters in defensive formations. The aliens watched in fascination as hundreds of human pilots prepared to face an enemy force that outnumbered them significantly. This would be the first real test of human military capabilities against experienced galactic warriors. Nixandra extended her consciousness through the ship's computer networks to observe human battle preparations. She wanted to understand how physical beings approached warfare when facing superior numbers. What she discovered amazed her, because humans seemed confident rather than afraid, despite the obvious danger they faced. The Raider fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, expecting to find a primitive world with minimal defenses. Their sensors detected the alien ships near Earth, but also registered something massive that had not been there in previous intelligence reports. The USS Enterprise appeared on their screens as a target larger than most space stations. Commander Grix led the Raider attack force from his flagship, the Blood Harvest. His species had been raiding peaceful worlds for over 2 centuries and had developed tactics that overwhelmed most planetary defenses quickly. He assumed that the large ship near Earth was some kind of civilian transport or mining vessel that would surrender without fighting. The Raiders moved in standard attack formation with fast scouts leading the way, followed by heavy assault ships designed to disable defensive systems. Their weapons were set to capture rather than destroy because prisoners and intact technology were worth more than wreckage. They had no idea they were about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Admiral Lisa Kane stood on the bridge of the Enterprise watching the approaching enemy fleet on tactical displays. She had studied raider tactics for years through intercepted communications and knew exactly how they preferred to fight. Her crew had trained for this scenario many times, but this would be their first real battle against experienced galactic warriors. Amy Brooks launched with the first wave of fighters consisting of her most experienced pilots. She flew alongside Lyria Moonwhisper, who was using a specially modified fighter equipped with sensors that could work with elven magical abilities. The alien scout was nervous about her first space combat, but determined to help defend the ship. That had become her temporary home. The Raider scouts reached the outer defensive perimeter and immediately encountered something they had never seen before. Human fighter pilots did not charge forward in individual glory-seeking attacks like most species did. Instead, they moved in coordinated groups that supported each other while maintaining perfect formation discipline. Amy led her squadron through a series of precision strikes that targeted the Raider communications systems first. Without proper coordination, the enemy ships began making tactical mistakes as individual captains tried to fight their own battles. The human pilots exploited every gap in Raider formations with deadly efficiency. Lyria discovered that her elven senses could detect enemy intentions before the Raiders acted on them. She could feel when enemy pilots were about to change direction or fire weapons, giving her an advantage in combat that surprised even herself. Combined with human technology and tactics, her natural abilities became devastatingly effective against confused enemies. The main Raider fleet moved forward, expecting their scouts to clear the way for heavy assault ships. Instead, they found their advance forces scattered and disorganized while human fighters remained in perfect formation. Commander Grix realized he was facing opponents who fought with discipline and coordination that exceeded anything he had encountered before. Vexara worked with human tactical officers to identify priority targets based on her knowledge of raider ship designs and capabilities. Her people had fought these enemies many times and knew which ships carried the most dangerous weapons or the most experienced crews. The information helped human gunners focus their fire where it would do the most damage. The Enterprise revealed its true firepower as massive weapon turrets tracked enemy movements with computer-guided precision. Each shot was calculated to disable specific ship systems rather than simply destroying targets. The human approach to warfare focused on ending battles quickly while minimizing casualties on both sides whenever possible. Zarathel watched the battle from the observation deck, amazed by what she was seeing. Human military doctrine was completely different from galactic standards in ways that made their forces incredibly effective. Instead of relying on superior firepower or individual heroics, they used intelligence and coordination to defeat larger enemy forces. The Elven leader observed how Admiral Kane commanded the battle with calm efficiency. Every order she gave was based on accurate information and clear tactical thinking. Her crew responded instantly because they trusted her judgment. Completely. This level of coordination between commander and crew was something Zarathel had never seen in galactic military forces. Nixandra extended her consciousness through the ship's sensor networks to observe the battle from multiple perspectives, simultaneously. She watched human pilots make split-second decisions that showed incredible situational awareness and tactical flexibility. The energy being began to understand that human consciousness was far more complex than her species had realized. The raider assault ships reached the Enterprise and attempted to use their standard boarding tactics, heavy weapons designed to punch through armor and create entry points for boarding parties fired at the massive supercarrier. But the human ship's defensive shields absorbed the damage, while automated systems tracked the source of each attack. Return fire from the Enterprise was precise and overwhelming. Each raider ship that fired on the supercarrier received focused attention from multiple weapon systems that disabled their engines and weapon systems within seconds. The raiders had never faced defensive fire that was so accurate and so devastating. Amy Brooks led a flanking attack that caught the main raider formation from an unexpected direction. Her fighters had used the Enterprise as cover while moving into position for a surprise strike against enemy command ships. The attack was timed perfectly to coincide with the main defensive fire from the supercarrier. Commander Grix found his flagship under attack from directions he had not expected, while his fleet fell apart around him. Human fighters moved through his formation like they could predict every move his ships would make. His experienced crews were being outfought by opponents who seemed to know raider tactics better than the raiders themselves. The battle lasted less than 2 hours from first contact to final surrender. The raider fleet had been completely defeated, with most ships disabled and captured rather than destroyed. Human rescue teams were already moving to assist damaged enemy vessels and provide medical aid to wounded raiders. Lyria Moonwhisper returned to the Enterprise, shaking with excitement and amazement. Her first space battle had been nothing like the individual duels that characterized Elven warfare. Working as part of a coordinated team had been more effective than anything she had experienced before and had shown her new possibilities for combining magic with technology. The alien delegation realized they had just witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. A human force had defeated an experienced raider fleet without losing a single ship or pilot. The tactical coordination and technological superiority they had observed exceeded anything in Galactic Council military records. But the victory raised important questions about human intentions and capabilities. If Earth possessed such advanced military technology, why had they remained hidden from galactic civilization? What other capabilities might humanity possess that had not yet been revealed? And most importantly, what did this mean for the future balance of power in the galaxy? Commander Grix was brought aboard the Enterprise as a prisoner, but was treated with respect and provided medical care for his injuries. He had expected to be executed or tortured according to raider traditions, but instead found himself in a clean medical facility being treated by doctors who seemed genuinely concerned about his welfare. The aftermath of the battle changed everything the alien delegation thought they knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. Commander Grix sat in the Enterprise medical bay receiving treatment from Dr. Maya Singh, who worked to repair damage from the fight. The raider leader had expected execution or torture, but instead found himself being cared for by the same people he had tried to attack. Maya explained to Grix that humans believed in treating prisoners with dignity, regardless of their crimes. She also told him that Earth had been studying raider activities for years and knew that most raiders came from worlds that had been destroyed or abandoned by the Galactic Council. Desperation often drove people to violence when they had no other options for survival. Vexara approached Admiral Lisa Kane with a formal request that shocked everyone present. The warrior diplomat wanted to establish military exchange programs between human and crystalline forces. Her people respected strength above all other qualities, and the tactical superiority they had witnessed during the battle impressed them more than any diplomatic speech could have done. The large alien explained that crystalline military doctrine focused on individual combat prowess and direct confrontation with enemies, but human coordination and strategic thinking offered advantages that her people had never considered. She believed that combining crystalline biotechnology with human tactical methods could create military forces more effective than either species could achieve alone. High Counselor Zarathel spent hours in private discussion with Lisa about the future of galactic politics. The elven leader had come to Earth expecting to offer humanity junior membership in an established order. Instead, she found herself proposing something that had never been attempted before in galactic history. Zarathel suggested completely restructuring the Galactic Council to accommodate Earth as a true equal partner rather than a subject species. This would mean sharing advanced technologies freely between all member species while establishing joint exploration and defense programs. The traditional hierarchy that placed older species above newer ones would be replaced with cooperation based on mutual respect and shared goals. The Elven Counselor had realized that human approaches to leadership and organization could solve problems that had plagued galactic civilization for thousands of years. Wars between member species often started because of misunderstandings or competition for resources. Human diplomatic methods focused on finding solutions that benefited everyone involved rather than determining winners and losers. Dr. Maya Singh continued her medical work, treating injured raiders while alien scientists observed her techniques. Her combination of advanced technology with genuine compassion represented a philosophical approach that many galactic civilizations wanted to learn. She treated enemies with the same care she gave to friends because she believed all intelligent life had value. The medical techniques Maya demonstrated exceeded anything available to most galactic species. Human regenerative medicine could repair damage that would be permanent for other races, while genetic modification could enhance natural abilities in ways that seemed magical. But Maya insisted that the real breakthrough was treating medicine, as a way to help people rather than just a way to fix problems. Nixandra prepared to return to the Void Collective with information that would transform her species' understanding of physical beings. Energy creatures like her people had always considered themselves superior to races that depended on matter for existence. But human consciousness showed complexity and depth that challenged every assumption the Void Collective had made about physical intelligence. The energy being had discovered that human philosophy and literature contained insights about the nature of existence that her purely energy-based species had never considered. Physical limitations seemed to force humans to think in creative ways that led to solutions energy beings would never discover. She wanted to establish cultural exchange programs that could benefit both species. Amy Brooks received an invitation that surprised her more than anything else that had happened during the alien visit. Lyria Moonwhisper asked if she would be willing to train with elven warrior scouts on their homeworld. The combination of human tactical thinking with elven magical abilities had proven so effective during the battle that military leaders from the ethereal dominion wanted to study the partnership. The elven scout explained that her people had always fought as individuals relying on personal skill and magical power to defeat enemies. But working with Amy had shown her that cooperation and teamwork could achieve results that no individual warrior could match. She wanted to learn more human tactics while teaching Amy about the magical arts that elves had developed over millennia. Commander Kate Murphy worked with diplomatic representatives from all three alien species to draft agreements that would reshape galactic civilization. Instead of the traditional protection treaties that made Earth a subject world, the new agreements established genuine partnerships based on shared knowledge and mutual defense. The diplomatic framework they developed included provisions for joint research projects, military cooperation agreements, and cultural exchange programs. Each species would contribute their best knowledge and abilities to common goals while maintaining independence and self-governance. No species would be required to give up their traditions or accept foreign rule. Lyria Moonwhisper accepted a permanent assignment as liaison officer aboard the Enterprise. Her experiences during the battle had convinced her that she could learn more about warfare and tactics by working with humans than by returning to traditional Elven military service. She would serve as a bridge between human and Elven forces while continuing to develop new combat techniques. The formal agreements were signed in a ceremony attended by representatives from dozens of galactic species who had heard about the events at Earth. Many of them wanted to establish their own partnerships with humanity after learning about human capabilities and diplomatic approaches. The signing marked the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. Admiral Lisa Kane addressed the assembled delegates with a speech that outlined humanity's vision for the future. Earth did not want to conquer or control other species, but instead hoped to work together toward common goals that would benefit everyone. Human technology and knowledge would be shared freely with anyone willing to cooperate in peaceful exploration and development. But Lisa also revealed information that surprised even the alien delegates who thought they understood human capabilities. The Enterprise was not the only supercarrier that Earth had built. Humanity had constructed an entire fleet of advanced warships, along with exploration vessels and research stations scattered throughout nearby star systems. The revelation that Earth possessed military forces capable of defending multiple star systems simultaneously changed the strategic balance of the entire galaxy. No single species or alliance could threaten humanity directly, while the human fleet could protect any ally that faced external threats. This made Earth the most powerful single faction in galactic civilization overnight. The story concluded with multiple alien fleets departing Earth's solar system, but this time as allies rather than condescending visitors. Cultural exchange programs were already being established, while joint military exercises were planned for the following year. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as subjects or conquerors, but as equal partners in galactic civilization. The final scene showed Lisa Kane standing on the bridge of the Enterprise as it prepared for humanity's first official exploration mission beyond the solar system. The massive supercarrier would carry mixed crews of humans and aliens to investigate reports of ancient ruins in a distant star system. The age of human isolation was over, and the age of galactic cooperation had begun.